Personal message to everyone watching this video. Those of you that have followed me since the beginning of this disaster and chemical bomb, thank you so much, and thank you so much for caring about our little town and our horrible situation. I want to ask you, when you watch the video, please take 3 or 4 friends and actually share the YouTube link. If this is someone watching this on Facebook, think about maybe 3 to 5 to 10 of your friends pass this along and share this. This town has been devastated. Our land is poisoned. Our creeks are a mess. And a lot of people around the world think everything is all cleaned up. And it'll never be cleaned up. So thank you so much. If you like the video, press like, comment if you can. It helps it spread. It helps the algorithm. And lastly, please, at the minimum, maybe pass it along, share it with 3 friends. Go ahead down your text list or your email and pass this link off to those people. Those of you a little more fired up, maybe 10, 15 people share it with. Let's let the world see what condition East Palestine is still in. And thank you so much for watching and caring. If you like my videos, please share, like, and subscribe. And comment if you would. It helps the algorithm and the YouTube videos spread all across the world. Now that the politicians and media are gone, it helps shed a light on our little town of East Palestine, Ohio. And consider joining our group, East Palestine Off the Rails. Get the truth from the people that live here. And when I get a little too dicey for YouTube, check me out on Rumble as Phoenix on the Sword. That is Phoenix on the Sword. And if you would be so kind, please check out our Give, Send, Go or our GoFundMe site as East Palestine Off the Rails. Our goal is to help people relocate because we've got no financial assistance from the federal government. No donation is too small. Thank you so much for watching and caring. Today is April 18th, 2023. The creek video that you're about to watch was made in the last couple days. You can see that the whatever it is in the banks. It is in the sediment. It has been pushed down into our soil. It has a tendency to want to go down into the ground. These are SVOCs, supposedly. I don't know what they are. I know that if I spill gasoline on water, it never sinks. This is strange, and maybe somebody can comment below, anybody that knows these types of chemicals, why it comes up so buoyantly in the first place, but then suddenly sinks. It comes up, rises to the top, and then shortly after, it goes back down. But it's in our soil, people, and who knows where it's gone and where it's going to go. And we're all on wells around that creek. It's one of those ironies that in the midst of me finding these horrible chemicals in our creek, and this is what, 10, 11 weeks later, you hear the serene sounds of birds chirping. I saw frogs in the creek, so frogs are coming back. Lord knows what their offspring are going to look like, if they have offspring. And, you know, you see the beauty of the stream, and you see the contamination in these creeks, and it's just horrible. Enjoy the video, people.
I'm going to try to make this video my last creek video. If I haven't proved my point by now, I never will. It's really not safe, but every time I hear Governor DeWine or the EPA or Norfolk Southern lie about how safe our creeks or land is, it drags me back in to prove them wrong.
I had already explained in another video how I had gotten very ill from my visits to the creek. including a large welt that I believe was some type of histamine reaction to the chemicals.
Hey Rick, this is Flick. Listen, I saw you with the bunny suit digging out the chemicals. There is a very good psychologist I will call. I will have them make an appointment for you anytime soon. But in the meantime, enjoy and have fun, man. Your wife is wonderful.
So here's storm drains into the creek. Gonna do a little investigation here, see what we got. You can see all that white chemical just oozing out. I cannot fathom why a certain population of our town does not want these chemicals revealed to the public. Is it business concerns? Is it tourism to our town they are worried about? Or simply, is it too much stress? And like that movie, A Few Good Men, they just can't handle the truth. It's all starting to cover the surface of the creek. Keep in mind, the air sparging aerators are done. What has it really done besides contaminate the air? It has done very little to help these creeks. The EPA has failed on that one. Every step I take, chemicals just boil up out of the sediment. You can clearly see as I leisurely walk up the stream, poking my stick into the sediment, the chemicals just boil out. There is no supervision of this creek. What if your kids sneak off and play in this creek? And those of you that say stay out of the creeks, you shouldn't be in there anyway. If an entity came in and put a fence around these creeks and there were no chemicals in it, there would be uproar that you could not enjoy the creeks. But good old Norfolk Southern comes in and poisons our creeks, mismanages the cleanup, throws a boatload of cash around to certain people, and they're the best thing to come to town since buttered bread. I no longer reveal the exact date and time that I make these videos because of something that happened. I won't go into it, but it has to do with the EPA. I will say this video was shot just a few days prior of 4/18/23 and after the week of Easter. Maybe I do these videos because of my nature. If you lie to me and you lie to others and I know it's an obvious lie, I am going to do everything to prove you wrong, especially if it comes to human safety. It may also be that I grew up in the water. My nickname was Fish because I loved the water since I was a kid. I'm always in it. Creeks, pools, whatever. And I love to fish. And it sickens me to see what has happened to these waterways. Notice how, before I get in the water, how this creek looks so pristine until I start poking around. It's a wonderful illusion for Norfolk Southern and the EPA when the press stands 10 feet away and looks into the creek, and everything looks fine. Imagine the raccoons and the wildlife and the deer and the birds drinking out of this water. Imagine the raccoons eating any fish that may survive. This goes higher up the food chain than you could ever imagine. I can only guess at what this noxious cocktail of toxic chemicals is that Norfolk Southern has gifted us. As I poke the sediment and it rises to the surface to reveal itself, and then slowly sinking back to hide in the sediment, away from prying eyes. Listen to the birds in the background, totally unaware of how we have poisoned them. Totally unaware of how this will affect their offspring for generations to come. got into a little tiff with Governor DeWine. Hey, dead fish. What a picture. Floating toward me is a dead baby bass, presumably from City Lake overflow. It would have swam down Leslie Run, where Leslie Run runs into Sulphur Run in the park, and when it hit the contamination, it would have been too much for this fish, as it was for thousands of others. I watch as its lifeless body gets carried down the stream. Part of me is morbidly relieved that this fish is dead, instead of surviving these polluted waters, passing on its altered genetics to future generations.
It's just a complete mess. Oh my Lord. Holy shit. Oh my God.
Norfolk Southerns' master plan was to divide us, and it is working. Those that deny the chemicals are in the creek, and those that know that they are still there, making people sick.
Where they weren't doing their cleaning. Oh my God. And my freaking eyes are burning. I'm telling you, no matter what anybody says, this shit burns your eyes. So, there are chemicals everywhere.
We did not ask for this. We do not want it. For me to ignore that these chemicals are in the creek and listen to the propaganda in the media from the EPA and Norfolk Southern that our water is clean is against my nature. The fighting in this town between people that want to keep this quiet or deny that there's contaminations still heavily in our soil and creeks, and the people that are concerned about the chemicals that vaporize from these creeks into the air, making people sick. Why fight against each other when Norfolk Southern is the true culprit? Everything leading up to the accident and the chemical bomb and the cleanup has been dubious.
Let me go explore some more. Oh my Lord. This is me walking in the bed of the creek. It's frickin' everywhere. It is frickin' everywhere.
These toxic chemical-filled creeks run under our town, under our houses, under our buildings and businesses. They are carried by faulty, decades-old concrete tubes. They off-gas and vapor into the buildings. This is a big reason people are still getting sick. Please take my advice that I don't follow, people. Please stay out of these creeks. I'm going to try to attempt to make this the last video for a very long time, unless something makes me angry enough to come back in. It is just not safe here, even with protective equipment. This is the very first time seeing this phenomenon. As I dig in the creek bank, a chemical comes up. It looks like it is solidified, and it is bright as a robin's egg cracked into 1,000 little pieces. As I pry open the mud, it goes floating into the stream.
shit just keeps coming out. Oh, that shit burns my eyes. I'm telling you. It just keeps on coming. It just keeps on coming out.
Norfolk Southern has ruined this land as I see the chemicals just pour out of the soil of the banks.
In that stretch. I mean, it just keeps coming out. It doesn't stop. Safe here, people. Holy shit, it just keeps on coming out. Just keeps on coming. So anywhere the currently, no pun intended, anywhere the current is not rushing it down the stream, I mean, it doesn't stop. It just keeps on coming. It just keeps on coming out. I could probably stand here 10 minutes and it'll just keep on coming out.
As if the derailment weren't bad enough. As if the tens of thousands of gallons of deadly chemicals that poured into our storm drains, waterways, and soil from the derailed cars wasn't bad enough. As if the subsequent chemical bomb wasn't bad enough. But to add insult to injury, as we were huddled in our hotels during the evacuation, Norfolk Southern wasn't cleaning up their mess. They were laying down new track over contaminated liquid and soil. And as the evacuation was lifted, they barreled those trains like we've never seen over that soil, forcing that liquid and those deadly chemicals into our soil further to spread out around our town and force them even more into our waterways. Norfolk Southern is an evil entity. Please, townspeople, do not fight each other. Because Norfolk Southern is throwing money at our town and certain business people, don't be fooled. They are here for their best interest, not any townspeople. The EPA loves to brag that they were here 2 hours after the derailment and they were on the scene. That is nothing to brag about. Why didn't the EPA stop them? As per their initial report, they state they had observed Norfolk Southern laying down new track over contaminated liquid and soil. This is the agency that is supposed to protect the citizens of East Palestine. I contend the EPA is just as guilty as Norfolk Southern. I personally do not believe a thing the EPA tells us. Our residents get a newsletter from the EPA on a regular basis. It's a shiny propaganda report. Why aren't there any pictures of these chemicals in the creek? Why aren't they telling them how bad it really is? Still to this day, they are driving over contaminated liquid and soil, as only the southbound tracks have been lifted. There isn't one rock I turn over that doesn't have some form of chemicals under it. If you look closely, you will see a white, diluted paint-like substance floating just below the surface of the water. Unfortunately, tempers are beginning to flare between townspeople. Isn't it ironic that just like in a zombie apocalypse movie, instead of the humans banding together to fight a common enemy, they turn on each other and fight amongst themselves? Keep in mind, this is 11 weeks after the derailment. Why am I the only one in these creeks? Why isn't there a crew of 150 people working here? Why aren't there backhoes dredging this soil as the chemicals leach further and further into our land and get pushed deeper from the hydrostatic pressure? Why? Because the EPA states they do not want to kill the ecosystem. They do not want to dredge the creeks or block off the water because they will kill what is coming back. Do you really want animals coming back and living in this polluted water? I submit to the EPA, if you had a total life kill with deadly chemicals, and those deadly chemicals are still in the creeks at lower levels, and these animals still came back, they will come back from you emptying these creeks and dredging. They will come back from your bulldozers as well after you fix this horrible problem correctly. Unfortunately, you have waited too long. This will not be fixed in our or our children's lifetimes. You will have to look carefully, but you will see a white paint-like substance hovering just below the level of the surface. I have seen this since the beginning, since filming a week after the derailment. You will really notice it here when I scrape the bank. It looks like diluted paint. It is mixed in with, but it is not the brown cloud from the sediment. It is a white chemical substance. If we are being told that our land and our creeks and our water is fine, and we can see this, and it is obviously not fine, how are we to believe they're testing when it comes to the things that we cannot even see?
If they lie to us and tell us everything is fine and everything is coming along as planned and everything is unicorns and rainbows, as we see the chemicals, how easily can they lie about the chemicals that we cannot see on our land?
You're welcome, West Virginia.
Another view of that white, grainy, diluted paint-looking chemical that floats just beneath the surface and will rise to the top as well. You can see that it has permeated the entire area of this water in the area that I have just disturbed. Although less sensational than the bright rainbow-colored chemicals that come to the surface, I estimate that I have seen thousands of gallons of this white chemical coming down the creeks in the times that I have filmed.
Oh shit. That ain't cool. You don't want to fall in that, do you? You kind of don't want to fall in that, do you? I don't think I'm going to fall in that. Just to let you know, people, I think I got the cops called on me because we don't want to know the shit's in our creeks. Coon tracks.
I am referring to the CTH security guard that called for backup security and told me that I was not allowed to explore.
Oh shit. Look at that shit. Lift up one rock. Look at that crap. And lift up another.
My friend Dave Young ran down from his house and met with the security guards and told them that we are just concerned citizens and we could explore anything that we want in the creeks.
One rock. Wow. Wow. No, Mr. Green, I didn't bring my matches. I kind of really don't want to chance it. Holy shit. Look at this shit. One rock, people. One rock. It's safe. You don't think that shit's going down in the soil? One rock. Are they gonna come get me? She was calling somebody. This is our land. 30 years I've been here. Spent my whole life growing up here. Go ahead and call the cops on me, whoever you are from New Jersey. Go ahead. Let them come down and see this. Bring them on down. Let them see. And I don't want to Epstein myself. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Let's get some more. I want to say it's my imagination, but it's not. My freaking eyes burn every time I do this. Ugh. If you can't see the whole surface, it's covered in this shit. It's safe here, people. It's safe. Creeks are clean. Soil's clean.
Julie, tell us a little bit about this area.
The people I've met, I've all, worked in healthcare, worked in, I don't know, I'm going to meet tomorrow with someone who farms there.
Right. Solid working class neighborhood.
One of the city council members, this was the day or two after it happened. I was talking with him. I'd never met him before. He has 2 little kids, and I asked him if he was worried. The town had a very strong odor, and he said, "Oh, it's just the chemicals just running through the waterway. So that runs through town. So don't worry. We're not worried about it." So I think there was a lot of misinformation about what was going on at the very beginning. Right. And I think people wanted to believe that things were going to be okay. And I don't think any of them ever expected to be the center of attention in this particular way.
Understood. And I imagine the plume carried around to a lot of the other areas. I mean, I can tell you just in the experience from 9/11, the EPA issued a statement probably not 3 days afterwards saying all clear. And the students came back and Wall Street came back and everybody came back and cars and things were still caked with dust, and those toxins, and again, a slightly different environment, but those toxins then found their way into, people ate there, slept there, cried there, went to the bathroom there, like into everybody's system. So I really urge the authorities to act with caution and protectiveness for the people there, especially the children there. Julia, what in your reporting, does this smell of a cover-up to you, or does it smell of lethargy or apathy? What has caused this sort of strange delay in responsiveness from the national media and from where's the urgency?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, one point to be made is that train derailments and trains carrying crude oil and hazardous chemicals happen all the time, which should not be taken, as.
Yeah, so there were 2 more yesterday. There were just, it's
right.
Just the thing. And so this was just business as usual.
Oh, fudge. Fudge. Where's John with his lighter when I need him? Holy Hannah. Look at that. Look how massive. That's one rock, people. That is one rock. And it just keeps on coming. That is one rock. Thank you. You're welcome, West Virginia. You're welcome. Glad to oblige. Glad to oblige. You're welcome, West Virginia. You're welcome. No need to thank me. Here's this one. Let's move this one further up. Holy shit. Holy shit. One rock, people. Holy shit. Holy shit. It just doesn't stop. One rock. It's all under here, dudes. One rock. See ya. Have fun down in West Virginia. Have fun down in Negley. Have fun, people. Have fun, chemicals. Enjoy the journey. I don't want to Epstein myself either. Have fun. It's clean. It's safe here, people. Just keeps on spewing up. Just keeps on coming. It just keeps on coming. Look at that. It just keeps on coming. Just keeps on blowing up. Oh my God. What? Oh, shit. Yikes. I expect anytime now they're going to come and confiscate my phone. Oh my Lord. I don't know if you can get the perspective of this. This is like a 20-foot long chemical spill right here. There's like 20 feet of chemicals here. Down the creek. Every rock I move. It's all in the banks. Oh my. It's all in our banks. It's all in the banks.
It's Friday all day, as my Nana would say. And I've been reading all the news reports on this horrible train derailment and chemical spill, toxic poisoning in Ohio. And fish dying, and chickens dying, and animals getting sick, and people feeling sick. And then the EPA comes out with a very non-alarmist, everything's okay, don't worry about a thing statement. And it's infuriating. I don't trust the EPA. I don't trust them. After 9/11, I don't know how anyone could. 9/11, they said it was safe to go back downtown to the World Trade Center. And it wasn't. There was no cleanup. There was dust everywhere, toxic, horrible, cancer-causing. And they lied to the American people. I don't believe the EPA. I think what's happened there is like Love Canal, or it's like 3 Mile Island, where there's poisoning. They've poisoned hundreds of thousands of people. Their lives ruined. Ruined. They say, well, if I was someone, I heard a reporter say, if I was there, I'd pack up my kids and go. Well, you know what? Not everyone can do that. They don't have anywhere else to go. People are living month to month, week to week. They don't have stored up reserves to go stay in a hotel for 2-3 months, a year. Fact is, they're going to have to leave that town. And, the water supply, it goes to so many states. This is like a tragedy of epic proportion. And it's criminal negligence by that chemical and train company. And nothing's being done about it. It's not on the news enough. It's not something that people are talking about. It's like being pushed to the back burner, and it's like so many deaths are going to occur from this. I don't know. It's so depressing to me. So depressing.
Man, that's a massive amount of shit. That is a massive amount of shit. That is just covering the whole area now. That is a massive amount of shit. Look at that shit. Seems to be really in the banks where the creek can't take it down. Seems to, wow, look at that shit. It's in the banks. I mean, how far has it? This is freaking unbelievable. It's in the banks. I mean, the plan is solution. Well, they challenged me to find it. This shit is in the banks.
How many kids are exploring these miles of creeks? I know I would be as a kid. I am as an adult. If I knew I could see these multicolored chemicals, I'd be poking the bank too. Stay out of the creeks, kids.
Look at that. It's all in these banks. wherever I put my stick in the bank. Because the stream can't get in the banks, I'm assuming. It's all in the banks. And so you don't have the current to wash it down. I mean, how much of this is in the soil? Look at this shit.
Raccoon tracks litter the shores here. The poor little creatures are drinking this water.
That shit just oozes out. It's just oozing out of there. It just keeps coming out. It's all across the creek. Let me see if you can see it. That all came from the bank. Just a little digging in the bank. So here's my feet, here's the bank. What is that? How deep is this? Not very deep. I said it looked suspicious that there were fish upriver, because this whole time, see all this? I've never seen any fish here. That's just from me digging a little bit in that bank. There's more since I walked in. I've seen no fish here to date. And I've seen, look at this guy. Hey, you're not gonna see that on the news, huh? That's the second dead fish I've seen. Fish can't survive in this. This guy, that's the second one I've seen today, this afternoon. Look at all this shit. Look at all that shit. And here's this guy. Is there a largemouth bass in here? Or is that a smallie? That's a smallie. We got a dead smallie here. That's always a good sign, right? Tailbenders are back, but dead smallies are, don't forget about them. Let's see what we got here. It's getting dark. You probably can't see anywhere. And how's this? Huh? Let me move a little shit next to this, and you'll see what killed this smallmouth. That's what killed the smallie. See that shit? The new thing is now it's all in the banks. Well, it's not new, but the narrative is, you know, that's what killed that smallie. And it just keeps coming out. Let me disturb the bank a little bit. and you'll see what killed the smallmouth. That's in the soil. Probably going to be on our soil for 100 years. Yeah, we're fucked. We're fucked. It's probably around 8 o'clock. Look, it's all in the bank. It's all in the soil. You are raccoons for years to come. You're killing fish. You see all this? It's in our land. It's in the soil. It's all in the banks. See, the water can't get up there to wash it away. And eventually the only way it's going to go is down. Look at that shit just coming out. Look at that. As I send more down from the bank.
It's very troublesome. These poor individuals, through no fault of their own, became victims of systemic failures within the rail transportation system, and it manifested itself in this mushroom cloud that they had to experience in their town. One of the reasons why I made the comment about we nuked a town with chemicals is because there was somebody from Darlington, Pennsylvania, who was videoing the cloud that had went over his property, and you could see fallout coming out of the cloud going onto his property. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, it reminds you of one of those apocalyptic shows where the nuclear fallout's coming out. And I thought about it, I says, well, yeah, we basically did nuke a whole town just to get a railroad going, back in service. And earlier on, I got involved in this because news media were not being told the truth. Days into this, no, train consist was available. They didn't know what they had. And that flies in the face of logic. If you're going to mitigate a problem, if you're going to have your fire department and other responding teams take care of it, you should know what the heck you've got. And it got to the point where they were showing me pictures of train cars, the local media, and I was identifying what was in based on UNID numbers or train car numbers. And when they told me their plan, at that point you had a few cars burning. They had unmonitored hand lines there keeping the tankers cool. And then I find out that they're pulling the unmonitored hand lines, keeping the tankers cool. I said, well, that's just going to cause the tanker cars to heat up, which they did. And then they announced that one was very near catastrophic failure. And I said, well, if they don't put water back on it, it's going to continue to heat up, and it's going to what's called a levee, and it's going to damage other containers. And then I was told, no, they're going to detonate all these cars so that that doesn't happen. I could tell you, Mr. Carlson, I've been looking at rail incidents over and over because in Youngstown, Ohio, there's 3 rail lines that run through our town. So as a chief and as a instructor, I trained my guys to anticipate stuff. And I would go case study after case study after case study, coming up with different scenarios just to keep it going. And I've never once in 39 years ever heard of them blowing up train cars, right, dumping all the chemicals into a trench and lighting them on fire. I was dumbfounded. Yeah. And when you lit this stuff on fire, you were creating phosgenes, you were creating hydrogen chlorides, you created this plume, and up in this plume was all the incomplete combustion products of everything that was there. Stuff, if you looked at the guy's video, stuff is precipitating down into people's property. There's a lot of questions, and the answers came slow. And, first you get, well, now we've found vinyl chlorides in the water. Well, yeah, no joke, you're going to find that. And it seemed like everything was drips and dribbles. Instead of, one of the things I learned is you tell the truth, you tell it all, you tell it first, and you tell them how you're going to solve the problem. And none of that was forthcoming. And I began to worry about, what the end result with this was going to be. They had evacuated 1 mile, and I was telling the media they better do like 1.5, 2 miles. Well, subsequently after that, they went to 2 miles. And then within a few minutes, a few days, they were bringing everybody back. And that was pretty much just in time to open up the rails, and there was no testing. There's got to be some plan going forward in this cleanup and recovery to test.
Yeah. I mean, if you find asbestos in your building, you contain and remove it. You don't blow it into the next county.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, fudge. Oh, fudge. Damn. Holy shit. Get away from me, dude. Hey, get away from me. Dude. That's like 3 hits of my shovel. Get away from me, dude. What are you, full of dioxins and lube oil? Butyl acrylate? What? Sorry. It just keeps on coming out. Look at that. It just keeps on boiling out. So they use the current to take it downstream. It just keeps coming. It'll just keep bubbling up. Let me just sit here for a minute. It'll just keep bubbling up. Remember now, that's just a few swipes of my stick. That's why that smallmouth bass right there is dead. And that's why the only fish that I've seen in here tonight were dead. Oh shit, it's on the end of my stick. That shit. Oh Jesus. Oh my. Oh my. It's safe here, people. It's frickin' safe. Anybody got a t-shirt for a tie-dye? Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy, 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 holy. Holy mother of... Oh man, I gotta get on the bank. Oh my. Oh my, I gotta get on the bank. I don't want to fall in this stuff. Oh my. So this stuff is in the bank. This is spread out across the entire face of the creek. Let's see if you can see the display. Here's my stick to give you perspective. It's like a 70s psychedelic. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. It's just, look at that. Just keeps on spreading out. This is huge. You probably can't tell. I would say this is 12 feet. 12 feet. By, look at that, man. Looks like some interstellar. I mean, this is freaking huge. And it just keeps coming out. Look at that shit. It's clean. She's clean. So this shit's in the banks now, and it's in our soil.
If you live in town and you don't work for the railroad, or you haven't received money from Norfolk Southern for some type of business or some type of incentive, I do not see how you could not be upset about these deadly chemicals on our land and in our creeks.
I mean, this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible.
The disaster in East Palestine, which affected Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Indiana, and other states, had significant impacts on people and economies. While only 4,500 people live in and around East Palestine, as I mentioned, 37 million people live in the states that border it. In February of 2023, I provided advice to community groups who were asking questions about water and air safety. I then was approached by people from Pennsylvania in Darlington asking about air and water safety. They were sending pictures of material that seemed to have deposited in their pools and in their property. And they wanted to know about the safety of this and whether or not their kids could play near it or their pets could. Due to the lack of available information in reviewing government testing data that was posted online, which wasn't much, we organized a volunteer team at Purdue University in Indiana, and we drove 7 hours to East Palestine. Since then, we've been there 3 times, and we've been in Darlington as well. What we have found is that in our first trip, acute health risks remained, even though the narrative was that they were not there, with the creeks. And there were no access controls to these creeks. People had their kids near them. People were walking their dogs near them. Workers were walking underneath these aeration units that were blowing the polluted water and contamination into the air. And there was no adequate personal protection or safety approach in that situation. So we notified OSHA about our discoveries. We notified the US EPA, we notified the state of Ohio, the US senators in Ohio, and others, asking them to please intervene and protect people from the acute health risks that remained. We also, in March 7th, submitted a letter to the US Senate Environment and Public Works Committee as a public comment, identifying that we had found several chemicals in the creek water that officials weren't testing for, but were definitely related to the fire. So we have urged these agencies to correct their testing approaches, and we haven't seen that yet because it's pretty hard to understand what the health risks are for something if you're not testing for them. On March 12th, I shared additional new study results at an East Palestine meeting with a community group called United for East Palestine. And in that, we compared federal, state, and county air and water testing results and showed that agencies are not testing for a whole bunch of things that they've identified as health risk in air, but haven't tested for in the surface water or haven't tested for in the well water. I also looked at Pennsylvania DEP's data, and they too have indicated that they are testing for 3 chemicals of concern in the wells: vinyl chloride, ethylene glycol, and ethanol, which means that they're not testing for a whole bunch of other things that could be associated with the spill. And so ultimately, it's unclear who is advising these agencies about what to test for. I have been involved in disaster response for many years. I generally come in when people don't really know what to test for, and agencies are kind of moving in different directions, and that seems to be the case here. I would encourage officials to start testing for the chemicals of concern in these areas across the board.
Here's my stick so you can see what's happening. Ironically, that is a broom handle. I'm just going to stir up the sediment a little bit. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Look at this shit. It's pretty. It's pretty. That's in our soil. This is, can't really tell perspective probably. It's so late at night. I mean, it's getting dark. we're looking at a 10 feet by 12 feet by 5 foot mess here as I just dig in the bank. And we can just watch the display for a little bit.
What an eerie nighttime display of deadly chemicals.
Those aren't clouds, people. Those aren't cloud reflections in the sky. I'm probably missing a little display over here. Yeah. So what I'm seeing, it is really heavily contaminated in the banks. And that's bad. Because how are they going to clean out the soil? And how far did this go under the water as the hydrostatic pressure pushes it down?
As I get ready to wrap it up for the night, I promise myself this will be the last time I film in the creeks. Several experts have advised me not to come here anymore. It is just not worth the health risk. I have broken that promise several times because I've made that promise to myself before. Only time will tell. As I turn to leave, I think, if what I have filmed to this point has not caused any change, then anything I film in the future probably won't either.
Governor DeWine, a question. So, as somebody who grew up really close to here, and I've lived here 30 years now, and who voted for you twice, this is a very positive direction to go, but it's also unfortunately very frightening that we even need this. So, what are we still doing about the main cause of people getting sick, which is our creeks? As of Good Friday and Easter, heavily contaminated. And anybody that wants to see that, I can show them. I think the EPA says now that the water is clean or safe and they've taken the aerators away. Any comments on that?
While the cleanup continues, I'm going to ask Director Ann Vogel to come up. Members here. Well, I don't know where she went.
Typical EPA.
That's not fair.
Well,
That's not fair at all. The Ohio EPA was here within 2 or 3 hours after this.
Governor, respectfully, why didn't they stop them from putting the tracks down over contaminated soil if they were here 2 hours after?
Are you going to let me answer?
Yes.
I'll take the first question.
From here on out, it is all typical politician word salad. Blah, 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 blah. He never even addresses my question about the EPA.
These creek videos were filmed all over the Easter weekend. This last one was filmed 12 hours before the ribbon cutting ceremony. If I sound passionate, it's because the press and the governor can leave. We are stuck here. We have had no federal financial help. We are being poisoned.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit that they burn off, the fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine. This is not fucking storm clouds. Look at it. This is over Darlington. This is their fucking success. That ain't no fucking storm cloud. That's the fucking shit from East Palestine. Their fucking controlled burn. I'm ready. Let's get out of here. I wish we could get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers. You fucking greedy motherfuckers. Impatient bitches. You could have fucking waited. You could have fucking cooled the tanks. You could have transferred the contents. You didn't have to do this. You did it because of time and money. That's exactly why you did it.